What's up, YouTube? How's it going? So, Scar 16, is it worth your money? I think that question breaks down to a couple different things. There's a couple of questions you have to answer about yourself, and when we're doing our comparison, we have to do an equal comparison. So, all right, before we get into all that, if you like what you see on this channel, please do me a favor and subscribe and throw a thumbs up because it's awesome. It really helps the channel. So, without further ado, okay, let's get to it. So, worth the money. I guess we should start with the comparison. So, if we're asking ourselves if it's worth the money, what are we comparing it to as another option, right? So, I think personally the only other things that it really can be compared completely to are the other modular weapon systems like this, like the ACR, the Bren, similar firearms like that. I'm not sure if a piston AR is really a fair comparison, depending on how nerdy you want to get with this, right? They're both piston, they're all piston guns, but I look at them in that comparison where it's almost not fair to compare it with a piston AR just because of how much space there is inside the receiver. Space in the receiver versus the size of the reciprocating bolt mass, and the function by which the system operates, right? So piston AR, for instance, you can't fold the stock up, right? So there's these types of systems have that going for them. They're all internally run, so you don't need a buffer tube and a spring assembly and buffer back here. So it kind of puts them in a different class. Whether or not that's important to you, whatever. I think it's important to compare like things to like things. And in the same thought with the size of the bolt mass and the inside of the receiver, there's just more room for stuff to get in there and get out in guns like this and the Bren and the ACR. So I don't know if it's exactly fair. I think the harshest of harsh conditions with all kinds of crap getting in the receiver around the bolt, I think these guns are going to do a little better because they have so much more room inside of them for error and so much more mass that it's going to power through stuff. So it depends how far you want to go down that road when you're comparing. But I mean, if you just want to get from point A to point B, you really don't need to get into a piston AR either. You just get yourself a good DI, and you can do that for a relatively low entry price. So I think if you're talking strict comparisons, you need to compare this with the other modular weapon systems like it. So there's that. Now, what does the SCAR offer you that the other ones all don't? I think that's another thing we have to really identify in this, right? So we have it and its competitors, and then we have what this offers that the others don't. So in the other, like the ACR and the Bren, I'm not sure there's a whole lot there that you can't do with the others. They're all going to function. I think they're all going to be reliable. I think they've all been proven to do all those, right? They've all been proven to last a long time. They're proven combat accuracy. I don't know. Some people say the SCAR's more. I've had extremely good accuracy with both of my SCARs. I don't own the other rifles, so I can't speak for those. But if you're asking the question, what does this get me that a direct impingement AR? So I guess I saw some other channels kind of go down that road, comparing this to the cost barrier for like a BCM direct impingement AR-15. I don't think that's fair at all. I don't think we should compare it to those or even talk about them in the same sentence, because if you want a DI AR, go get one. It's great. But here's why there's a big difference. So I have multiple DRs, DI AR-15s. I have this, and I shoot them all a lot. And let's go down a hypothetical road, right? So you haven't cleaned your guns or oiled them, fresh oiled them, and who knows how long. So the oil starts to kind of evaporate and dry up. Now, let's say you're in a harsh environment where there's dust introduced or whatever, and a DI AR-15 has a small upper receiver. Well, all ARs have a small channel inside the upper, and there's not much room for stuff around the bolt inside the upper receiver. So the more harsh the conditions get, the easier it is for that bolt to get friction going inside the upper receiver and not pick up rounds off the magazine and go all the way into battery. So guns like this with a whole lot of space in the receiver and a big massy bolt that's flying back and forth are going to power through a lot more harsh conditions for a longer time without having to do maintenance to them. It's just a simple fact. Just like an AK-47, they'll just go and go and go and go and go, even dry. They just have a potential to shoot more rounds in harsher conditions for a longer period of time than a competitor that's a direct impingement AR-15 system. It's a fact. They're just going to go longer. So whether or not that matters to you, whatever. But so that's why I don't think it's fair to compare a direct impingement gun with one of these. So if all you want is a rifle to shoot 5.56 and you're cool with those limitations, that a DI gun just needs more maintenance and more often, and it might need just squirting some oil on the bolt to keep it moving. If you're cool with that, then really there isn't a difference. If that's your only purpose with it, is it worth the money to go to this route? I don't think you get a whole lot if that stuff doesn't matter to you, right? There's cool stuff about this gun, but is that extra money really getting you something if you don't care about those facts right there? I think not. I think you can get from point A to point B, get a good gun that's going to be reliable, it's going to last a long time, going to be accurate. It'll be direct impingement, but you can get into that with a cost barrier of about 1/3 of what this gun costs. So I also look at it like one of those things, if you have a strong desire, if you want something, if you want a SCAR because of the way it looks and because of all these other factors, cool factor or whatever, I think you just got to scratch that itch, honestly. Just go get it, and if you don't like it, you can always sell it for probably close to what you bought it for. Because if you go price SCARs, you'll see that they retain their value really well because they control supply and demand well. They don't produce as many as the market wants, so they're always in high demand. It's just the way they've been since inception. So if you think about it like an investment, a low risk investment, I'm going to go buy it and try it, and if I don't like it, I'll wait till the next scumbag does something stupid and the prices of guns go through the roof, and then I'll sell it and make money. So if you think about it like that, it's a win-win. Another aspect. So I don't think there's a whole lot more to say about it, honestly, right? If your goal is point A to point B, you want to shoot 5.56 millimeter or 223 rounds and have an accurate gun, and you don't care about like having to take it in a harsh environment, maybe potentially, and all that stuff, then you'd be fine with the DI AR-15, right? So is it worth the money? Subjective. Who cares? If you want it, get it. If you don't want it, don't get it. Doesn't matter, right? But so I will say one thing. So if you've ever watched Mr. Guns and Gear's Battlefield Vegas video, you should probably check it out if you're interested in maybe the SCAR, or you're a SCAR hater. I think that's a good place for you to go watch, because there are good things about this rifle that in extreme conditions actually would justify the high cost. So Battlefield Vegas is like a Las Vegas gun store and shooting range where they have a lot of automatic weapons for rent, and they do tons of business. They go through hundreds and hundreds of thousands of rounds every month. All their guns do. And so I think their guns see more mileage than probably anybody's guns anywhere. I consider them kind of an expert in the field and value their opinion highly. So those guys say that in the video, you should check it out. But spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you about it, that the SCARs require the least maintenance out of any gun they've ever seen. Out of any gun they've ever seen, the SCAR requires the least amount of maintenance and replacement parts. Chew on that one for a minute. So I think that says a lot about the SCAR platform. I mean, it's legit. It's high quality, but I guess you got to ask yourself what you need in a rifle. If I know, hands down, without a doubt, if I only got to keep one, or let's say it got really crazy, stuff happened and I had to leave the house with one weapon, it's going to be this, hands down. Out of everything I've ever shot, this would be the number one. So, yep, because I know this could go for years without a cleaning or a drop of oil and still keep shooting, because I've seen my DI guns shooting the same ammo, the same round counts, start choking, and I've had to like pound on forward assist to try to pick up the next mag out of the magazine and push it all the way into battery, where this gun just keeps powering through. So my experience with it has been nothing but positive. Mine's accurate, it runs well, it's been 100% reliable. I guess we should talk about cons. So some people view this reciprocating charging handle as a con. I don't mind it. I've never had to hang up on anything, but I've never taken this into combat either. So maybe this is a hindrance in awkward shooting positions. I don't know. It works well for malfunction clearing and seeing what's going on with the gun. You're shooting, you can tell what's going on. If the bolt's halfway back, then you've got probably a double feed. if the charging handle's all the way back, and you can see it right here, you don't have to turn the gun and look, you can see it's all the way back. Something caught the bullet, you probably at bolt lock with an empty magazine. It's all the way forward, you know it went back to battery. So double feed looks like that every time right there. And not many other things do. So that's a pretty neat feature. You can actually see it where on the firearm at fire control. So that's a neat feature. So I like it. Hasn't bothered me yet, so not a con for me, but some people don't like it. Trying to find the other cons. I'm struggling. Some people don't like the lower receiver polymer. I mean, it's fine. It doesn't bother me. So, yep. So, scar haters, go free in the comments. Blast your hate about the scar. But I think you should all go try to watch that Battlefield Vegas video and wait till they talk about the scars. It may change your opinion on them. So, but like I said, depends on your needs whether this is worth it. I think that's probably the bottom line. Ask yourself what your needs are with a firearm. What matters to you as far as whether or not those pros that the scar gives you over a direct impingement AR-15 are worth the extra cost, or if it's just one of those things that you want it and it's an itch you got to scratch. I think you just get it. Just get it. Enjoy it. It's fun, you know. I like my scar. Plus, whether or not this is just related to the scar or related to whatever, but the recoil impulse on this is it feels different. It feels different than a direct impingement AR-15. I've got a couple different buffer weights and spring tensions and stuff on my guns, and different bolts and stuff on my DI guns. They all feel kind of a little different, but this one just has a different quality with the recoil, a different characteristic of how the recoil feels, and it's a really soft shooting carbine. It shoots really well, fast, without the muzzle moving around. So it's got that going for it too. Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot more to say, honestly, about if scar's worth the money. I think it's those are the pros and cons. You decide whether scar's worth the money. I think they did a dumb thing with the trigger on these guns. They should have put a nice trigger in these guns. I mean, the mil spec one is okay. The reset's really tactile and audible, and the trigger pull is just a little heavy, honestly, and it's kind of creepy, and it probably would have smoothed out after enough shooting it. But I put a nice trigger on my 17 because I got that first, actually. In fact, that's a good thing to talk about. Why did I get the 16? So I would have never got it just as a 5.56 if I wouldn't have had the 17. So I had the 17 for about 4 or 5 years when I got this one, and just because it's tough to find a 7.62 by 51 kind of in its class for the same weight and the folding stock and all the stuff it's got going for it. I picked one up in the gun store and that was it. Like, I've been looking for a semi-auto 7.62 by 51 that could double as a hunting weapon, right, and still was a semi-automatic magazine fed that was not an M1A. I didn't want an M1A. I shot them so many times. I shot M14s, right? I've used them. I've been in harm's way with M14s, and I couldn't bring myself to buy a civilian version of an M1A. There's just something about it. The way you have to hold it with the bolt reciprocating by your fingers. Like, I held them, and I still, every time I see one, I drool over it, but I just couldn't spend that much money on one for those other toys. I wanted more, you know. So, and then I found the scar, and I held the scar, and it was immediately, I knew I had to have it. And it's been so awesome and so light shooting and so reliable and so accurate that when I saw this one hanging on the wall right before the election in 2016, for a good price, smoking price, I couldn't resist but to pick it up. So that's why I have this one. And now, I guess, would I ever sell this one? Nope. This will be the last 5.56 carbine I sell. I'll sell everything before I sell this one. This will be the last one I own right here. So that's my thoughts on it. There's a whole bunch of them. I really don't even desire any other 5.56 carbines other than I just want to get some to mess around and paint them up and just have that kind of like a kind of an M4 copy with a 14.5-inch pinned muzzle device and an A2 or a front sight post like an M4 carbine and a carry handle and stuff, and spray paint it and monkey around. Yeah, but this would be the last one I kept right here. So that's the why. That's why I got it. Yep. I guess that's it. Hope y'all enjoyed the eye candy and the scar thoughts. If you got any questions or have any ideas on videos you'd like to see, go ahead and leave them down in the comment section. And again, if you haven't subscribed or clicked that thumbs up button, please do so because it helps the channel a lot. Thank you. Have a nice day.